Hello, everyone, and welcome to some HRL Forza action. We're going to continue our Elantra series here today for round number 2. We've got Luke and Matt on the front row. Then we've got Detail, the new scheme this week, and Slaunch in row number 2. Row number 3, we've got Roman and Opix. And then row number 4, with the scheme pending, is going to be Armada. We're green here at Hakone. It's going to be 14-lap motos. So again, 14 laps for both races, and I'm definitely getting hit with the allergy cheese today, so I'll try my best on the commentary, but it is a bit of a struggle, so I'll try to get through the best that I can. But yeah, so early on here, going to be going towards this huge straightaway. There is a big chicane leading into it as well, but unless you're on hards and going like too wide, it's a pretty fast chicane. It's pretty easy, like flat out. For these cars and for these drivers, it should be pretty free. So it's essentially just like a massive straightaway, like backstretch here on Hakone. And this is what's going to make this race interesting, is that we just got off a Homestead. And Homestead obviously had, the constant draft wars, big oval race, but easy, like wide open turns for these cars. So it's just a straight draft battle. Like it's essentially like Daytona for these cars is how Homestead races. So we just got off of that, and here we go to our first road course race of the season with Hakone. But the thing is, with that backstretch, with how long it is, we're going to kind of have some similar battles here, I think, compared to Homestead, because the draft is super strong on that backstretch. The draft used to be really strong in general in this game, and then somewhere, I don't remember exactly how long ago this happened, maybe half a year ago, I don't recall. Somewhere along the line, they nerfed it, and now it's not as strong. And so now the only time you really like see the large effects of the draft are on like super long straightaways like this one. And again, like obviously on Hakone we have one, so we'll still see those effects. A lot of the road course races of the season, we won't necessarily see that, right? It won't always be a factor. Like for example, the next one that we're going to, Hockenheim, there's not really a long enough straightaway, and a lot of the turns are like heavy braking turns, so we're not really going to see any draft wars on Hockenheim. But here on Hakone, and then later in the season, like for example on Road America, there's a lot of really long straightaways, especially for these cars, a lot of super long straightaways there. On those types of road courses, you'll still see a little bit of that like Homestead style like draft racing. Now, obviously it's going to be different. We have left and right turns, a lot less banking, different layouts and such. So it's not going to, it's still not going to completely race like Homestead. And, there's still a big skill gap at the turns. And we'll finish that thought in a moment. But take a look at a replay here. We have our first big moment of the race. Roman with a penalty-worthy conk on Slaunch. I'm not really sure what happened here. But yeah, Roman just like no brake, just full send slam Slaunch on the inside. I don't really know why he did that. But he'll get hit with the post-race chow for that one. Get the rear-facing view from Opix. Yeah, you can see from that one. That was super. He was so like out of control sending it on the inside there that he actually not only went past Slaunch and slammed Opix's bumper. So that was pretty insane. But yeah, finishing the thought quick. Obviously, you still have the more of a skill gap than you do with Homestead in terms of like running the track, right? There's still a skill gap to the draft war racing, but in terms of like racing the track, right? So it's not going to all be draft. Like there's still, it's not like the qualifying times were like Homestead qualifying times here. There were still pretty big gaps in qualifying. So it's not going to be like that when you have tracks like this. It'll be like kind of a mixture, right? It'll be kind of like an in-between of like a typical road course and like Homestead. So these will be interesting races to watch, I think. And what happened right there with Slaunch and Opix is I think Slaunch's lag cheese was already starting to get him, unfortunately. And I'm going to hit the spoiler here, but I think that, culminates in a lag out here shortly. So sad to see. I didn't do it for this race, but I think we can invite people mid-race, because we can do it during practice in the private lobbies. So I would assume that we're able to do it mid-race as well. I'm not 100% sure. Might have to test that, but I think we're able to. So we continue the race here, but from here on out, as long as the lag out happens, I think I'll say, like, for fairness, I think, like, before the first pit cycle is probably fair. So, like, probably, like, before, like, halfway through the race. As long as the red flag, as long as the lag out happens, that early, we'll do a red flag. So we'll try to have that for the future to try to help out Slaunch. And you saw showed a short clip of it there, but that what that short clip was like Slaunch right before the lag out, and he just like stops moving and he's just gone. So yeah, unfortunate. But like I said, like going forward, since I do believe we can invite people back, we'll do that as long as it happens like before like halfway. We'll do a red flag, and we'll probably do it just like we do in the Halo situations, because we've done this on Halo before too. The only reason why we haven't done it so far with Slaunch is again because of the Forza lobbies being weird and not being sure if it works. But I'm almost certain that it will work. So from here on out, we can try that. If it happens again, I'm sure it probably will. And yeah, we'll do it just like Halo. So just like I'll call red flag, and everybody will. And you can see right there in the track map, you can see where Slaunch lagged out too. See the dot not moving. So yeah, unfortunate. But yeah, just have everybody like stop when the red flag is called, and then we'll do like the 3, 2, 1 restart. It's not the best. It's not the best procedure, but it's kind of like the best that we've got, considering how weird these situations are. Right? It's not perfect, but it's kind of just like the best that we can do. So, so yeah, if it happens again, we'll try to do that. So hopefully be a little bit better for Slaunch's lagouts, but in a way that won't like cheese the racing as a whole. Hopefully, is kind of what I'm going for. But anyways, so back onto the racing. So Luke's gotten a bit of a gap here for the lead, but so far it's been a really good second place battle. Detail and Matt really going at it for second place. This is an interesting battle, and the strategy here is what I find especially interesting. So Detail is on the mediums, and Matt, I believe, is on the hards. So Matt doesn't necessarily need to pass Detail to have an advantage here. Like, as long as he's able to run, solid pace, as long as he's able to run competitive with him and stay in the draft, Matt is going to be kind of at an advantage here. Because, like, the draft is kind of negating the advantage that Detail has on the better tire, if that makes sense. So, basically what I'm getting at is Matt was faster in qualifying. Like, he had the better qualifying lap, and he's probably faster in the race pace. But of course, like, Detail's got the better tire compound. So I think the tire advantage is helping him stay in front of Matt right now. But Matt can essentially like still use this situation to his advantage by again just staying close enough to keep that draft. And if he's like a car length behind Detail, like still in his draft by the time Detail goes in for his pits, that's honestly a win for Matt, because he's gonna be close enough to where when he puts on the softs at the end, he should be able to make up that gap. And, he's already like in a position to potentially make a pass if he wants to by staying in his draft. Well, later in the race, he'll, this is him on the worst tire. Later in the race, he'll have those opportunities, but on the better tire. So not only will it be better for him to make the move, he'll be able to defend better and try to get away from the battle better. So basically what I'm getting at is as long as Matt stays smooth, I think this is actually an advantageous position for him to be in. And this is why the strategy is always interesting, but I think it's especially interesting on a road course race like Hakone, because you have that draft factor, right? Like, it kind of makes you question what the best strategy is, because I feel like there's kind of different ways you could look at it, right? Like, on the one hand, you can look at it from Matt's perspective here in this battle and be like, oh, he's in the hards, or he's on the hards staying in the draft, and that's going to give him an advantage at the end. So, like, it's just going to be the better strategy, right? But on the other hand, you can look at it from Detail's perspective and be like, well, he's on the mediums, and the draft is a factor anyways. So you could look at it from, like, a track position standpoint, right? And be like, if the mediums are going to help Detail keep a better track position, maybe that's fine, right? Like, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's a good enough advantage to just have the track position advantage, if you're confident enough in your defensive capabilities and it being, like, hard to pass, right? Because you got to think, too, it kind of works both ways. Like, when Matt's going to be on the softs, if he can get in front of Detail can kind of do the same thing that Matt is doing right now on the hards versus Detail on the mediums, right? It'll be kind of the same thing, except it'll be detail mediums, Matt softs instead of Matt hards, detail mediums. So, but it'll be kind of the same dynamic. So as long as he can stay close enough, and as long as he can stay in that draft, maybe he can pass him back. And again, like track position wise, if he can use that draft to get the pass on Matt, in that big braking zone, it's going to be really hard for Matt to pass back, on the back end of the track, right? You're not going to have any draft help. You're going to have to do it legit. Now, yes, he'll have the soft tires, which will help him pull it off. But I mean, he still has to do it on track. It's not like a massive braking zone, massive draft zone leading into it. So, yeah, basically 2 schools of thought to it, and we'll see as the race progresses, you know, how it pans out and who ends up at the advantage in the end. But yeah, I always think it's really interesting to think about with races like this because of that breakdown that I just did. There's 2 different ways of looking at it, track position wise, or you know, using the draft to help out your strategy, to help out your tires earlier in the race so that you can have those better tires later. And it's kind of that, you know, again, kind of that battle. Like, what do you want? Do you want that tire advantage at the end, or do you want that track position advantage at the end? What's going to be more beneficial? And that's for us to find out, right? I don't have the answer, but that's why we race, right? That's why we race. And obviously you kind of have like some of the similar discussions on the other road courses, but it's a little bit different because of that draft factor, right? Like the strategies are more like for example, Hockenheim next week, it's going to be more straight up, right? It's going to be more about like the lap times that you can put down. But even on that track's hard to pass on too. So I think the track position, you know, argument factor, I think that's going to be important there too. But anyways, I always enjoy discussing the strategy, but I'm over it for now. That was enough. But let me know let me know in the comments what you guys think, because so far I think it's working. I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like it's working better in these cars than the MX-5s. Again, I don't know why, but I feel like it is. Maybe it's because of the tire wear setting. Like maybe I found a better tire wear setting. Maybe I'm doing a better job with that in the pre-race settings. I'm not sure. But so far I feel like it's working better. I feel like we're seeing a pretty decent amount of variety. Towards the end of the MX-5s, I feel like for the most part, it was just everybody just double up on mediums. I feel like that's kind of how it was. Again, for most of the field by the end. Whereas so far, a couple rounds into the Elantra series, I feel like we've seen a pretty good mix of people trying out different things, and I like that. So again, let me know if you agree, and you know, whether you do or not, you know, what might be the factors there, because that's kind of how I feel. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, I'm surprised. The one thing I am surprised about though, and I do want to, I'm throwing this out there for like the Ram Deans of the world. I want to see some people mix it up with this. But Moto 2. So what I was saying about like the tire strategy and like track position and stuff like that, I'm surprised we don't see more drivers in Moto 2 try the softs to hards strategy, because there are like 3 main strategies, right? In our races, the 3 main strategies are double up on mediums. That's one of them. The other one is start on the hards and on the softs, and then the third one is start on the softs and on the hards. And you might think like, oh, aren't those the same? You know, is that really 3 strategies, or is that 2 strategies? Because like, yes, you start on the different compound, but I mean, you end up running the same amount of laps on the hards and softs either way, right? It's just at a different point in the race. And I would say like, no, absolutely not. They're not the same, right? Like starting on the hards versus starting on the softs, that changes a lot. And then depending on where you're starting in the field, like how that's going to factor into it, that changes a lot, right? So like, for example, you'll see a lot of the time the people that start in the back, they'll elect for the hards because they're in the back anyways, right? Like they're going to, you know, the track position, like they're already in the back. Having the slower compounds, like not going to hurt them as much because they're already in dirty air. They're already behind the whole field, right? But when you're starting in front, you have clean air. I think there's actually a legitimate advantage. We haven't seen many people take good advantage of it yet, but I think there's a legitimate advantage to starting up front on the softs and then going to the hards later, because in theory, you start up front on the softs, you shouldn't get past, you know, unless everybody else decides to go softs. Like you shouldn't get past, right? You should have a big advantage over everybody else as long as you can get through like the first turn clean. So you shouldn't get past. So in theory, you're going to have clean air that entire early soft stint, right? So you'll be able to take full advantage. You should be able to take full advantage of your softs with clean air. With the hard soft strategy, that's usually not the case, right? Usually you have to make passes on the softs later in the race. Like usually you're behind and you have to use that soft advantage to get around people. So like you rarely have that clean air. With this strategy, you in theory should like have a lot of clean air for the race, right? Like you should always have clean air for that soft stint. And then when you go in on the hards, yes, you're going to have the slower compound for the later part of the race, but ideally you'll have a big gap already built up, and you'll still have clean air, right? Like you're going to be on a different cycle than everybody else. So when you come out of the pits, you should still have clean air. And then when everybody else cycles, you should still have clean air, right? Until somebody drives up to you, like until very late in the race, if somebody drives up to you, you should still have clean air. So in theory, I think that softs to hards, strategy, if you're starting up front, even in like Moto 1s, I think it's actually pretty good. I think there's actually a really good argument for that strategy, and I would like to see it come into play more often, because that's the most like lacking strategy, I would say, in our field in general, is I feel like that strategy doesn't get used very often. I feel like it's mostly two strategies, right? It's double up on the mediums or run the hards early, then the softs later. I feel like we don't see enough of the softs early than the hards later. I want to see it more because, again, not only do I'm not just advocating for it for, video entertainment purposes, although part of it, I'll admit it. I'm not just doing it for that reason. I genuinely think like the way I just explained it makes a lot of sense. I think there's a really good argument for it. And I think if somebody with decent pace has like, I don't know, they get in the sand trap, right? They have like a rough race 1, but then they have that good starting position for race 2. I think they could use that strategy and maybe get away with a Moto 2W. Because again, they can take away, or they can take advantage of that clean air. And then who knows what happens? There's a lot of cheese in Moto 2s, right? Like maybe the drivers starting in the back are fast, but maybe they get involved in some big like 3 wide moments, huge battles, huge stack ups. And while all that's going down, you're on softs and you're just getting clean air and you're just getting out of that, right? You're just getting out of that. You're just taking advantage of that. And yes, you have to hold on when you're on those hards at the end, but you'll have such a big advantage, like you should be able to. So yeah, we'll see. I'm here. I've made my point. I'm here advocating for it. We'll see if we'll see if more people do it. But yeah, I like the races when we have like the most variety of strategies possible, and I think those races tend to be the most fun. Like, for example, that makes what I just discussed makes me think of the Maple Valley Short race in the early MX5 series, because in that race, we had in those races, for some reason on Maple Valley, we had maybe because it was like early in the series, we had a lot of people going for a lot of different things, trying a lot of different things. We had a big variety of strategies, and those races were pretty cracked. And the Moto 2, until Slaunch lagged out, it was still a good race, don't get me wrong, but until Slaunch lagged out, that was cooking up to be like a great freaking like a classic race, for like an HRL classic race for Forza already. So, and I think it was largely due to Lil Mao, due to people doing a bunch of running a bunch of different strategies and mixing it up like that. So there you go. There was the Luch spiel for race 1. I'm sorry, race 1, I had to go for the big strategy announcement angle because race 1 did get, as you can see, it did get pretty spread out. But to be fair, we do still have a battle at play here. Matt is on the softs, and we're on the last 2 laps, so let's lock in here. Enough cheesing, enough theory crafting. Let's lock in on the race. So I think Luke's pretty much ran away with this win at this point, and I think Roman and Opex and Ramda are pretty like secure in their 4th, 5th, 6th. So the only battle that we really have to watch here is Detail and Matt, and it is a battle, don't get me wrong. Matt's softs are good. He stayed out a little bit later in the hard, so his softs are good. He's not going to have any tire wear to worry about. Detail on his strategy, he will have a little bit of tire wear at the end of the end of this lap right here. So it's going to start to come into play. He's going to start to lose a little bit of time, and Matt's already closing and already on the better tire compound. And I hid the HUD there because, again, it doesn't matter. This is the last battle. This is the last lap. So screw the HUD. Let's just lock in on the battle and watch this and see how it goes down. So again, we've got Matt here trying to catch up to Detail. He's going to keep his podium streak going, right? Like, he's definitely going to keep his podium streak going, but he's going to try to get another 2nd place finish, which would be huge for his points on the season if he can pull it off here. He had a great start at Homestead. Great overall result. Wasn't able to get on the top step of the podium, but was the most consistent driver by far. and was just, in the podium like the whole time, had a great overall event, and a much better showing than the last time we raced at Homestead. And now he's trying to continue that. And again, he is going to continue that podium streak, but he wants to get another second place. And you can see Detail going a little wide right there. I think it's what I was saying. Like, I think the tires are starting to wear down a little bit, but Matt's still on those softs. He's running really good times. And take a look at this. He's getting super close. He's starting to get so close, but is he going to have enough time? I think he maybe needed to be in Detail's draft on that long straightaway in this last lap. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get there in time, but he's right there now. Look, he's only like a couple car lengths away, coming to the line here, and it looks like it is going to pan out for Detail. Wow. Unless Matt can get a massive run, but I don't think he's going to have enough time here going to the finish line. Yep, Detail going to take that second place. Big finish for him, and Matt going to take third. Another podium for him as well. So Detail and Matt both with some good momentum off of the last Homestead Moto. They keep it going here into the first Hakone Moto. Luke taking his first win on the season. Roman taking fourth. Opix taking fifth. And Armada in the scheme pending. Somebody sponsor him. Somebody sponsor him, damn it. We're looking for a sponsor for Ramdeen. Somebody step up, please. He's looking for some funding support for these races. So we got to help him out. Got to help him out here. But hope you guys enjoyed the first moto at Hakone. I promise the second one will have more cheese. We'll get Slaunch back in the lobby, and it'll be pretty spicy. But yeah, Luke taking first win on the season. Rough start at Homestead, but trying to get back on the right track here at Hakone. Yeah, again, Detail and Matt with really good momentum with those podium finishes as well. The Osboos finals car making it to second, making it onto the podium. Pretty cool to see as well. And Matt doing the different Valvoline that also looks really good. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. See you for Moto 2.